Hello and welcome to Bold Business Podcast Show. This is Ros Jones, and today I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Mell and Pearly of Your Menopause Nurse. Hello, ladies.
Hello, Rose.
It's brilliant to have you come here to speak on our podcast show today. How did you two come together to set up Your Menopause Nurse? Who wants to go?
Well, I'll jump in.
Go for it now.
So Pearly and I met whilst working for a corporate company doing menopause care. And it was a very big company, and Pearly was one of the senior nurses there, and she helped to train me doing some of my consultation training. And so our paths crossed there originally, and we were helping a lot of people through the corporate route. And we thought it would be a really good idea to be able to help everybody, not just people that work for the big companies. So we made the big leap at the beginning of April last year to set up Your Menopause Nurse. And so we have worked very hard over the last year to gain CQC, Quality Commission registration. And since gaining registration, we are up and running as a business. So yeah, very proud of it.
Woohoo, well done. So why, thanks for that, but so you're both nurses, how did you come to be menopause nurses? Were you always menopause nurses, or is this a particular thing that...
No, I started off my training in 1994, I think it was, and I've always had an interest in women's health. So much of my training has been within the women's healthcare settings, covering everything from the likes of gynecology to counselling in women's health clinics, and then I later trained in menopause healthcare.
Yeah, and similar here. I started in 1997, worked primarily in general practice, but specialised in contraception and women's health, fitted coils, implants, things like that. And then opened up Pandora's box at that surgery by introducing menopause clinics, which were inundated. And so it eventually became clear that it wasn't, unfortunately, it's not the primary concern of the government, as we've seen in the press. So menopause care does not bring in any funding for the GP surgeries. So I eventually found a job in the corporate world doing what I love, menopause care, and the rest is history. So we're both specialised now.
So is that still the case, that there's no funding towards menopause help? Yeah. Even that, because there was something quite significant a year or so ago when it was recognised as a workplace condition.
That's right, and then there was a lot of talk about setting up women's healthcare hubs, but they haven't entirely taken off, unfortunately. And unfortunately as well, GPs in GP land just don't have the time or the advanced training to give women everything that they need in terms of the menopause healthcare. It seems to be fine to sort very simple HRT issues, but anything a wee bit more complex than that, they usually want to refer the woman into a specialist service, which can take up to or longer a year before they're seen.
Wow. I think in GP world as well, you've got that kind of one problem, one appointment. And with menopause, it can be a range of symptoms, and they can be, some can be connected, some aren't. So if you present at the GP surgery with joint pain or, insomnia, or there's lots of little things, they can all feed into each other. But in that 8 to 10 minute appointment, you are not going to be able to cover all those symptoms. So the GP may cover the one you've come for, but they may cover it with a bit of a narrow-minded approach.
Yeah. And do women with these menopausal symptoms know that it's menopause, typically?
Not always. I mean, we can have other conditions alongside the menopause. Yeah. For example, you could easily develop an underactive thyroid around the time of the menopause because all your hormones are changing. Yeah. They're on the decline, they're on the fluctuation, so it's not uncommon for women to develop other conditions alongside it. So they might be quite confused when they come and present to us.
So how would women know to come to you then necessarily if they don't know that they're experiencing menopausal problems?
Well, often, we like to think that if they've gone to the GP would do some bloods to rule out other conditions. And if they're under 45, some GPs may do some blood tests. If they're under 40, they should be doing some blood tests to check the hormones. But if they're between kind of 40 and 45, it can be a bit questionable whether that's needed or not, because you're going to go on symptoms. Now, because there is an awful lot on Dr. Google out there, and we do try and advise people not to Google symptoms, but there is a lot of information out there. And so if you've got the kind of common, I'm doing that, but the common symptoms, say the hot flushes, night sweats, brain fog, there's a few that kind of if somebody said they were having these symptoms, I would immediately be saying, what are your periods doing? Yeah. You can still have periods when you're going into the decline, your estrogen's declining, but I would be asking about your periods, asking if you had some bloods, and then delving a little bit deeper into what kind of symptoms you've got, if there's anything that makes them feel a bit better. Have you tried anything already? And kind of then we would be looking at asking further questions to see if there is any other symptoms that they may not have attributed to menopause and estrogen decline. So, some of the less usual symptoms like crawling skin, tinnitus, burning tongue, there's some unusual ones. Some usual ones out there that people don't always attribute, but when you actually start speaking to a lady, then you get, I do have that. But to get to us, they would, if they were Googling, unfortunately, if they did Your Menopause Nurse, up we pop. But it's just kind of trying to get out the message out there to say they can see us too.
Obviously, the menopause is a natural thing in a woman's life. So it just seems it's in the news a lot. Are symptoms getting worse these days, or is it just something that women used to put up with and didn't ever speak about? What do you think?
Most likely. It seems to be, it seems as though the gateway has been opened to allow women to actually talk about how they're feeling. Whereas if we think back to our own mums or grands or aunts, I think if you reflect back on how they might have appeared to you at the time, you might well say, she might have been going through the menopause at the time. My mum was a prime example. Although my mum's long gone now, my mum cried in the kitchen almost every day. Wow. And when I look back on that, I think, that was really probably around the time she was at that age when she was probably going through a really rough menopause, but didn't talk about it. Women just did not talk about it back then. Whereas it seems okay now, probably through a lot of the celebrities, to talk about it quite openly, and so it should be.
That's it. So what about what's the future hold? Is there going to be like a pill that we can take, or what's your advice for, if you think about it now, for younger women, what's your advice to help them through to get ready for that time in their life? What would your advice be?
Lifestyle. I think lifestyle's a big thing, and people underestimate even the smallest change in lifestyle. We live in a society that everything's kind of instant, fast, they want everything now. Processed food, that's a big no-no. You need to be getting outside in nature, exercise, hydrate, try and, protect your sleep time, find things that give you joy. We unfortunately go through life so quickly now, we kind of forget about ourselves. And so if you can lead that healthy lifestyle going up towards the menopause, you're doing yourself some favours. So you're keeping your weight down, doing weight-bearing exercise, stretching, resistance training. All of these things will help you in the menopause and will help you deal with the symptoms that could come. If you think we aren't really supposed to live this long, and we are living longer and longer and longer, and we're living longer without the hormones that we had for our fertile years. So because we're living longer without them, heart disease is the biggest killer of women. People think it's breast cancer when it isn't. It's heart disease, and we often have a silent heart attacks when we're women. So we really want to be kind of looking after our hearts and our bones. Osteoporosis, another big killer of ladies. And if how many women that we looked after Pearly who've had broken hips, and it's these hormones protect your heart and your bones. So when they've gone, or they're going, as soon as they start declining, we see the problems begin. So yeah, there isn't a magic cure, and HRT is not a magic cure, but it can help with a lot of the symptoms, and it can help with the kind of the quality of life in the future. So it's finding what works for you. You know, some people would swear by supplements, although there's limited research on that. I'm sure there's research being done on all sorts of things, hopefully now, because it's more out in the open. But I do think for the future, there's so much information now, and I like to think if you get good research-based information, you will go into the menopause. You know, these younger ladies will go into the menopause being a bit more prepared than our mothers and maybe we were back in the day.
The menopause is a fantastic time to actually sit down and look at what needs to change in your life. Your hormones are changing. You're probably changing the way that you think and feel about yourself, the way that you move, the way that you look. It's a fantastic time to actually make some changes there.
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it because I'm absolutely all for this, you know, that self-care. For me, self-care is the number one strategy for life, basically. For business health, you know, our own personal health. So I'm absolutely with you on that. I do feel, though, that sometimes when you're speaking with people, I was probably guilty of it as well. When you're young, you just don't ever think you're going to get old. Do you? None of us do. Like, one of the biggest things we all deny is death, isn't it? But we're all going to go there. It is. We're never going to get out of this alive, they say. But it's one thing that we have this denial about. And I think there's this thing about preparing to get old, you know, when I want to go out clubbing and drinking and whatever, no sleep, that kind of thing. So, yeah, I think it is, it's a somber story in a way, but as you said, it's also a celebration, actually. How can we live this life fitter? And then when we do get to that age, just taking time to reflect. I love that. And I think also, you know, when you get to a certain age, you do have to think more about death. You've still got potentially 4 decades, maybe, or whatever. But what is it? You can suddenly think, well, what is it that I want to do that I've never done before? Maybe I want to set up a new business, you know. So it's quite exciting, isn't it?
I think where we are in our lives at the moment, if you'd said to me 10 years ago I would be doing this, I'd have thought, no chance I wouldn't be doing that. But as you get to kind of your late 40s, myself, definitely early 50s, I kind of got a new lease of life. I got a kind of I don't know how I'd describe it really, but I really feel like I got that oomph that kind of said, of course you can do it. What's stopping you? You can. And we have.
Yeah.
What about the challenges in business then? Because you come from corporate backgrounds, and now you're out there celebrating what you're doing. There's the help that you can help people with. What's a big challenge in business?
I think the main one for us is letting people know that we exist.
Yeah.
We know that we exist, and we know that lots of people know that we exist, but we want more people to know that we're here, that they can access us. That's been the biggest challenge, I think.
Well, you know, maybe this podcast will help a little. It's going out there into the big wide world of information. So you better tell us, or please tell us, the best website to find more about you.
So that would be on www.yourmenopausenurse.co.uk, and you'll find out more about us, more about our business. We do regular blogs, and it'll give you you've got advice about menopausal there as well.
And your contact details.
So if you wanted to contact us, it would be support@yourmenopausenurse.co.uk. If you've got any queries, we can't give any clinical advice out over that, but we can advise if you've got a question about an appointment or something like that. So,
and we've got our socials too. Yeah. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram.
Excellent. So what about you in terms of your stories? So you both started off as nurses, as you said. What about times of adversity in life generally? We've all had them, but we always want to hear how we overcame them. So any stories you want to share that you'd be happy to share with us? And don't want to put you on the spot. You could say no.
No pressure. I don't mind sharing my own. I was diagnosed with breast cancer when I was 31. Which was a while ago. It was about 25 years ago now. At the time, I didn't really know that cancer treatment would induce the menopause. at such a young age, and I personally really struggled with some of the symptoms that came about as a result of that. At the time, and kind of for obvious reasons, the oncologist did say your cancer treatment is more important than anything else. But that didn't mean that I didn't then go on to really, really struggle with menopausal symptoms for the next 17, 18, 19 years without any treatment. What I know now, through training and learning and researching myself, is that there are actually some really good treatments out there that you can get when you've had breast cancer to help manage your menopausal symptoms better. It's just that at the time it wasn't talked about, even as recently as 20 years ago, and there wasn't as much research out there at the time either, so no one really knew what best to advise you on. So thankfully now, if I speak to anyone who's had breast cancer in the past, I can advise them on a whole range of different therapies, supplements, different treatments that they can potentially tap into, and they don't need to suffer for so long.
That's a great story, actually. So, reducing other people's misery through going through yourself, basically.
What a martyr.
There's things you do. Well, I'm a big believer that there's good that comes out of everything. So even it's that you're able to help other people. And how are you doing now?
Yeah, I'm great. I'm loving life. I absolutely love what I do. I'm at an age now, I'm 54 now. I don't want to do anything else. I absolutely love speaking to women on a daily basis and help them. There's nothing more that I want to do.
It's a very fulfilling type of nursing to do, because straight away when you start talking to a lady, and we've met some wonderful ladies, haven't we? We've helped some lovely ladies, and when you start talking to them, you can sometimes see their shoulders just drop. The relief they get just having time to talk. It's not necessarily that I had a lady the other day that just wanted to talk about her fibroids. She didn't want to talk about anything else, but she felt so much better for having spoken to somebody that had some experience around gynecology, could kind of, explain why the menopause might be affecting it. And it was just, you kind of come off a call, don't you? And you think, I wish I'd had someone like that when I was going through the menopause. Instead, sometimes you kind of feeling around in the dark, trying to work out what's going on and what the best plan of action is. But
it's so powerful, and it's just such a joy that you've actually found your mission, if you like, in life. That's such a rewarding place to be, I'm guessing, for you.
Yeah, we love it.
Yeah,
we do.
And how do you feel? I feel that, I don't know this statistically, but I feel that women are probably better than men at asking for help. Or do you find that lots of women will just suffer in silence? Is that taboo broken now?
We've met every kind of variation.
We've spoken to some women who have tried to broach a subject with their GP and had some really awful experiences, to be honest with you. And it's only through coming and speaking to someone like myself or Mel, and they've had the time, and the nod to open up and talk to us about what's actually been going on, that they've felt better. They've got the right advice. They've got better care than what they were getting from the GP.
Well, thank you so much. And what can we expect? Is there a book in coming out? What's the plans for the future? Is it just to get more people to help right now?
Look, the market's probably flooded at the moment with books. However, we want to give more women access to a good amount of time with a menopause practitioner, a qualified menopause practitioner, through online video consultations. They don't need to take time off work to attend appointments and travel across town. We want to just speak to them in the comfort of their own home through online video consultations and give more women better and easier access to the help they need.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. It's brilliant speaking with you. And good luck with everything.
Thank you very much. Thank you.